Greetings there, lads and lasses, and in today's video we are going to talk about something that's been spreading on Twitter recently, and that is about the latest season of Andor and a particular scene in it. And in this scene there is a moment where a Imperial officer basically forces himself onto someone else, and for some reason, this has caused a lot of outrage, especially people who claim to be fans of the franchise. Now, as we all know, Star Wars never really went in this direction for a long time. You could always say that Star Wars was more family friendly for everyone. Now, I feel like Andor has very explicitly stated by its existence and everyone associated with it, that this is a more sort of mature take on the Star Wars universe. Hence why a lot of people struggle to get into it, because it's not just lightsaber fights and funny moments and terrible CGI space battles. Andor really tries to go in depth with the characters and with the world. It's not really afraid to demonstrate just how much of a fucked up place the Empire-ruled galaxy is. Now, this latest scene has stoked a lot of fire surrounding it, and the main premise is it shouldn't be in Star Wars. You can portray different sort of things, but this is a bit too much. Star Wars theory here. I think most people know who this channel is, but if you don't know, he's a long-time Star Wars YouTube channel. This has been one of his tweets that has popped off recently. I've always been mixed on his opinions on Star Wars, and this is another one that I'm going to have to disagree with. In this tweet that he put out, he says that having this sort of stuff in Star Wars is unnecessary. You can portray power dynamics and making the audience hate the Empire in other ways without taking it to such a disgusting place. Vader wouldn't tolerate that shit, nor does the Empire condone it. It has no place in Star Wars, period. Unnecessary. Now, the thing about this is, in terms of topics to go into, I would say that this is pretty low on the scale. You have children being slaughtered, you have entire genocides committed on planets, you have scenes with prison camps, concentration camps, and just horrific experiments being done on people. This really isn't the worst thing that you could portray in this franchise, especially when things like slavery and sexual slavery have already sort of been introduced in the franchise. And while you could say that it wasn't explicit, it doesn't change the fact that it was there. The only sort of difference I can see is that in this case, it's right in the front and center. It is making people very aware of what people sometimes go through in life, and it's not afraid to show it, and I don't think there's a problem with that personally. Now, that's kind of the audience and creative reasons for why you might want this to be put into Star Wars, or if you might not want to see it, if you personally don't find that topic a comfortable one and you don't like seeing it portrayed, that's absolutely fine. But I think what is really funny here is the part where he goes on about how Vader and the Empire would be against this. Vader does not give a fuck about this. Vader has done much worse things. He has his own agenda. And for the most part, if you're not part of his plans, he does not give a shit. We have seen him do a lot of stuff both for and against the Empire. And it's always been for his own selfish reasonings, basically. And I really don't see how he would have much of a problem with this. I'm not saying he would condone it, but I don't think he would care. He's Vader. He is self-serving. He does not care about anything unless it's serving him, or if it's one of those rare moments where it manages to sort of crack the Vader psyche and get into him and sort of get to the Anakin part of him. But that's very rare as well. So I just find it funny that he says that Vader wouldn't tolerate it and the Empire wouldn't condone it. Now, condoning and sort of stopping something is two different things. I think most people can agree that throughout war there's been a lot of things that have been condemned that have been, sort of explicitly stated, we don't want to, affiliate ourselves with this. And it's happened anyways. Because at the end of the day, as long as they can sort of turn a blind eye to it, why would they care? And this is the sort of thing that this scene portrays. Even if the Empire don't condone it, they don't really care. As long as the Empire keeps on going, why would they? And again, it's especially funny because the Empire do so much horrific shit throughout the galaxy. And, you know, like I say, genocide. They have no problems wiping out people. And in the case of Alderaan, they wiped out millions of people, all those millions of animals that are on it, the plant life, all that. They just wiped it out because Tarkin was feeling petty towards Leia. That's just what the Empire do. They are just evil for the most part. So I just find it a bit kind of hilarious that of all the sort of responses that you could take towards this, your main priority is to just say, I don't want to acknowledge it. Personally, it's, you know, just something that happens. And in Andor, they have gone out of their way to sort of show how power can affect everyone in everyday life. And even the most unexpected things can happen to you. And this is another one of those. And it's got a lot of people talking about sort of the grossness of it and how it can relate to real life. And also it does, you know, serve a purpose. It serves character development. So at the end of the day, I think mature things are always going to be in Star Wars. And they have always been in Star Wars. And whether it was sort of on the outskirts or dead in your face, they have been there. So I think trying to take this stance is just nonsensical. And if you don't like sort of mature things, just don't watch them, I guess. And I know that sounds kind of gatekeepery. I'm not trying to be gatekeepery, but there's plenty of other Star Wars out there if this sort of stuff is uncomfortable for you. You know, there's so many games, there's all the films, there's all the TV shows. They've always got books and comics coming out. I don't know why this is the stance that people have to take. But yeah, hopefully people will realize that this is just a new direction that Star Wars is going in, a more sort of mature direction. No one is forcing anyone to watch it if you're uncomfortable by it. And overall, I think it's just a really fucking stupid thing to say that the Empire would be against this. Because even if they were against it, they just wouldn't care. They just wipe people out because they want to test a new weapon, or because they happen to be in the way of a land that they want to claim as like a resource or something. They're not gonna give a fuck about one kind of suffering and not another, you know? So yeah, overall, I find this outrage to be quite silly, and I really hope that people just sort of grow up and make the choice of either accepting it or just moving on to other parts of the fandom, because this is not a controversy at all. This is just people getting pissy that they don't like a story and the story direction, which is really annoying because of all the things to get pissy about, you want to get pissy about one of the best pieces of Star Wars that's ever been made. Seems pointless. Like, just look at some of this stuff that he says in response to this. You know, the fear alone of him finding out would be enough to stop such whack acts. Like, Vader's one man in the entire galaxy. Most people in their entire lives aren't even gonna stumble across, say, a Jedi, and there was thousands of them. Here, you've got one man going across the galaxy. Like, 99.9% of all living beings in the galaxy are not going to interact with Vader at all. Probably most of the Empire has never even seen Vader in person. So, I don't know why they would ever think that he would be there to stop them. You know, it's such a crazy response. And then there's this response as well. You honestly think if Vader saw that, he wouldn't kill the guy and leave? Heck, he might kill the girl too, but no way he'd let that imp leave. If he saw imps killing younglings or anyone, he wouldn't really give a fuck. So you've just acknowledged there that if Vader saw kids getting killed, he wouldn't give a fuck, and he would probably kill the girl, this victim anyways, but he would have a problem with the act in the first place? Of course he wouldn't. If he had a problem with it, why would he kill the girl? It's just a sort of bonkers way of thinking about Vader. He doesn't care. It's not really in his prerogative to care. As long as he can sort of keep his position of power and he keeps Palpatine off his back, that's all that matters to him. He doesn't give a shit. He also seems to believe that this sort of stuff isn't sort of compelling for the characters and it's not believable enough of a story. I mean, I think most documented cases of war and invasions, it tends not to end up good for the people who are living in those countries, and especially with women, it tends to happen. And at the end of the day, the Empire is an allegory for this sort of all-encompassing, conquering, invading force out in the galaxy. So yeah, I mean, it happens like in the modern day, and we're on one planet. I would say stuff like this would probably happen even more because there's an entire galaxy that the people in charge need to have an overview of. So things like this are going to be even more difficult to spot. Of course it's going to happen. Slave layer, that's another one of those things that, you know, it hints at it. It's not explicit, but it still sort of tells you that this is part of the galaxy. And another case is with the Twi'lek or Twi'lek, whatever, however you pronounce it. You know the ones I'm on about. The females, they tend to get used for sex slaves a lot, and that's always kind of been part of the canon and the lore. So yeah, overall, I don't know. This is just a whack controversy in my opinion. If you can't sort of stomach that sort of content, just, you know, stick with less serious content, and yeah, just go on with your life instead of creating controversy over absolutely nothing. Thanks for watching, lads and lasses. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing and checking out some of my other videos. Sharing always helps, and if you're feeling really generous, please consider my Patreon or YouTube membership. I also have a Twitter and occasionally I do live streams. But most of all, I just hope you had a great day, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.